as someone who has been self-employed, how far were you into your own career? And cosmetology is something that you picked up after college. So how far into your cosmetology career did you think about going independent and being self-employed?
Well, it's interesting because I apprenticed, I never went to beauty school. So
Oh.
I apprenticed with a booth rental hairstylist. And in Utah and out west, booth rental and independent, you know, business owners is the norm. In fact, commission and salary-based salons are unusual unless they're a chain salon. So that's just the culture that I grew up in. So I was a booth renter, independent stylist right out of the gate. Now, after about 5 or 6 years of doing that, I realized that I wasn't progressing skills-wise. I wasn't getting to where I wanted to be with my craft. So I actually moved to New York, Atlanta, and Miami, and I did work for some commission-based salons in those cities because they had the capital to create training programs and other things that I thought were necessary. After I did that, I moved back to Utah, took all that I learned from those places and incorporated that into my business there in Salt Lake City.
So you started very entrepreneurial
Yeah.
in a landscape that was very comfortable. So that's a little bit of a paradigm shift where I am. We certainly have salon suite concepts here and plenty of competition, but where I'm really looking to pull some of my beauty professionals is indeed from those from the salon chair rental. Do you have advice for those people as they're considering coming to entrepreneurial to a suite rental paradigm shift? Any fears and concerns that you see as being pretty typical?
Well, a booth rental stylist is going to kind of know what to do, and they're going to probably hit the ground running because they already know how to operate their own business, their own books. Now they get to have their own space, so they're going to just flourish and grow if they're already doing booth rental or they're independent. Now, coming from a commission or a salary-based salon, that's a little bit different because at those places, usually you have people taking care of your calendar, your books, your marketing,
Mm.
your education. So those are things that you're going to have to do on your own from the get-go. But the advice that I would have, that I have about pretty much everything is more training, more education. Take advantage of as much as you can. And at Image Studios, we try to provide as much as we can for our solo entrepreneurs. So that we can help teach them about, business acumen and marketing and all those things that maybe they weren't getting previously. Because, the one thing when I did go independent, again, I was so used to having education coming from when I worked for a commission-based salon and when I owned a salon, that when I went independent again, I wanted that sort of education and training, and I couldn't find it. There's a lot of skills-based education out there in this industry, but there isn't a lot of business education for the solo entrepreneur, for the independent salon suite professional. So those are the programs that we have tried to create from the very beginning at Image Studios. When I did some consulting for Jason Olson, our founder, back in 2009, he wanted to create that kind of environment. And I supported that because, he understood right away that in order for him to be successful, the pros really needed to be successful. So he wanted to provide that sort of training and infrastructure from the very beginning to make sure that everybody thrived.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
wondering how you came to Image Studios. So
Yeah, so I owned a big salon I owned two big salons in Salt Lake with about 70 employees. It was a commission-based salon. Um, and I had a little bit of a falling out with my business partner as that happens. And so I left. Um, and then someone just said to Jason, because he was sort of questioning whether this is where he wanted to spend his time and his money on something that honestly, 15 years ago was a little bit more of an unknown with this
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So someone said, you really need to talk to Matthew Landis, get his opinion. So Jason took me out to lunch and he wanted to know if it was a stupid idea. And I said, you are stupid if you don't do this. And so from there, the rest is history. And then,
Well,
the thing for me, I had no intention whatsoever of getting involved in a salon suite. That was not in the cards for me because everything that I had seen up to that point was not really up to the standard that I would hope. Um, but when I understood what he was doing and I got more involved and I was seeing the branding that he was doing and the kind of design that he was really interested in, I had to be a part of it. So I actually quit everything else that I was doing and I came on board to Image Studios and I had my own salon suite for about 7.5 years. And here's what I will tell you for those people out there that are wondering, is this a good move for me or not? I had the whole big salon, I had the empire, I worked really hard for that. What I found for me personally was I made more money and had less stress going solo. So getting smaller and doing it on my own just created so much room in my life for other things that were important to me.